All right, and we are back here on the GSMC football podcast. And for the third part of the show, we are now going to talk a little bit about Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, Mahomes-Jackson Part 5. So it's been a little bit since these two quarterbacks went at it. The last time they played against each other, and I did bring this up, was back in week 2 of 2021. So it's been a while. And since then, we've had Mahomes Allen, we've had Mahomes Burrow. It's been a while. And because before that, you go back to 2018 when these two teams met. This was an overtime game. The Chiefs won that game 27-24. That was Lamar Jackson's rookie season. The Ravens had the lead in this game. That was when Mahomes converted that. I think it was a 4th and 9 to Tyreek Hill that tied the game. It didn't tie the game, but that set up the Chiefs on that drive to tie the game, and that sent them to overtime. And the Chiefs won 27-24, and the Chiefs ended up improving to 11-2 on the season at that point. The Ravens were 7-6, and that was, because Joe Flacco, I think Joe Flacco got hurt that year. I don't think he got benched, but he got hurt. Lamar Jackson took over, and we never looked back. Lamar's been the starting quarterback since then. Jackson in that game, he had 67 yards rushing. 13-24 for 147 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And then for Mahomes, he went 35 of 53, 377 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. That was the first meeting between them. So then we go to the 2019 matchup, and that was, again, another high-scoring matchup there. I can pull it up. And then I think it was week 3. Yeah, it was week 3. The Chiefs won that game 33-28. The Chiefs actually were winning by a lot in this game. Wow, I didn't realize they outscored the Ravens 23-0 in the second quarter. So yeah, it was 23-6 at the half. But then the Ravens made things interesting. Again, it only ended up being a 5-point game. Lamar Jackson went 22 of 43, 267 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Mark Ingram actually had 3 rushing touchdowns in this game. This was actually the year I won in one of my fantasy leagues, and Mark Ingram was my running back too, and he was great that year. Lamar had a rushing touchdown. He had 46 yards rushing. And then for Mahomes, again, another great performance by him. 27-37, 374 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. And then they met the following year in the COVID season, and that game was in Baltimore. And the Chiefs won that game 34-20. And listen, that was a big game for the Ravens. And they, both teams started off the season 2-0, but then the Ravens, came up short. They actually made this game interesting at one point, but it just was never really. The Chiefs were never really in jeopardy of losing this game. Lamar Jackson actually he only went 15-28 for 97 yards and a touchdown. He had 9 carries for 83 yards. And then for Patrick Mahomes, 31-42, 385 yards, 4 touchdowns. And then in the 2021 matchup, which I have talked about because that was, the most recent matchup between the two, the Ravens, Lamar Jackson finally defeats the Chiefs. They win 36-35. And for both quarterbacks, we'll look at their stats. So Mahomes went 24 of 31, 343 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. And then for Lamar Jackson, he went 18 of 26, 239 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, and he had 107 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. The Ravens actually got the ball to start the game. I did watch the highlights of that game last night, and literally like the first drive. I think it was it the first play? But it was on the first drive. Lamar Jackson threw a pick 6 to Tyrann Mathieu. Also, Mahomes had a bad pick in the game. His pick was bad because he was he tries to do too much, and we know this. Where like he's about to get sacked and he'll throw it to a receiver and then it got picked off. It was bad. And in 2021 he had a couple of those. There was another one against the Commanders too because they played the NFC East that year, and he had a bad interception similar to that. That was also so the Chiefs. I don't know how the Chiefs blew that game. Like they were up by 11, and the Ravens came back. Credit to them. And then the Chiefs were driving, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire fumbled. The Ravens get the ball, and it's 3rd and 7. Jackson completes a pass. It's 4th and 1. They're in their own territory, and John Harbaugh's like, Lamar, you want to go for this? And he's like, yeah. And they went for it on 4th and 1. They had an extra offensive lineman in, and Lamar Jackson picked up the first down, and the Ravens got the win, 36-35, and that was the first time that Lamar Jackson beat Patrick Mahomes. And that was something that I criticized Lamar about is you play against the Chiefs and you can't beat them. And they were down double digits in the game. That was another thing too, is Lamar's ability to come back from big deficits or multi-score deficits. And he did that. He did it. So you got to give him credit there. And going for it on 4th down in your own territory, that was huge. And they were able to beat the Chiefs by 1 point. But again, if Clyde Edwards-Helaire doesn't fumble, I think the Chiefs probably win that game. But you look at the stats of both quarterbacks. I mean, every time Mahomes has played against the Ravens, he's done very well. Now, it's different this year. And I talked about it's like when I talked about the past playoff matchups between the Packers and the 49ers. I got a comment that said, why are we talking about this? Because they're two different teams. For me, I was just doing that because, they were two teams that met a lot in the playoffs. Now, this is the first time that Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson have met in the playoffs. They've had a lot of meetings in the regular season. So, I just thought, talk about the history between these two guys. Because before all of this Mahomes-Josh Allen and Mahomes-Burrow, it was Mahomes-Jackson. That's what it was. It was like, this is going to be the next rivalry right here, is these two quarterbacks, because they played each other every year. But they didn't play each other. They didn't play each other last year. And again, like 2021, they met in week 2. And then, Lamar Jackson eventually, got hurt during that season. So it's been a long time, and they didn't play at all this year, up until now. So it has been a long time since they faced each other. Because Lamar Jackson gets hurt, the Ravens they don't finish in first place. It's been a while. So and I'm looking forward to it. The Ravens defense is healthy for the most part going into this game. We'll see how it goes. But this is a bigger game for Lamar Jackson. I mean, the level of importance, this is a bigger game for Lamar Jackson because, you got the defending champs coming in. This is a team that the Chiefs now have made it to 6 straight AFC Championship games. Listen, Lamar's got his playoff victories under his belt now. He got a home playoff victory last week. Now you got to slay the dragon here. But they got to come to you. You're not going to Arrowhead. They're coming to you. So you got the crowd behind you. And listen, not only do you have the crowd behind you, you got large parts of America behind you too, because nobody, there's a lot of people that just do not want to see the Chiefs make it back to the Super Bowl, for many different reasons. And for me, listen, I don't care as much as a lot of people. I know Mahomes was complaining about flags this year, and we're tired of just seeing the Chiefs. I get it, but are you going to say no to a Patrick Mahomes Super Bowl? You're really going to say no to another Patrick Mahomes Super Bowl and watch this guy play? He's been unbelievable. What he's been able to do since he, became the starting quarterback of the Chiefs. But I get it. You want to see something new. And you know what? Lamar Jackson, this has been his year. The Chiefs, listen, struggled on offense. They haven't been the same team, of course. So, listen, now it's like, okay, this has to be Lamar Jackson's year, right? Or are the Chiefs going to ruin it? But again, like I said, you got to slay the dragon. Look at the Patriots. How many times do we see Tom Brady in an AFC Championship game and you just want to, pull every hair out of your head because you're just like, why again? That's what this is becoming with Mahomes. But again, you also got to sit back and just appreciate, what you're seeing. Who knows if we're going to see this again? We might be seeing it again with the Chiefs right now with what they've been doing. But the Ravens again have been the better team all year. They're at home. Everything is aligning for them to, you know, get over the hump and get back to the Super Bowl for the first time since they won it back in the 2012-2013 season. That miracle playoff run Joe Flacco had, beating Tom Brady and Peyton Manning on the road. I mean, that was unbelievable. So, you know what? Listen, you could throw all the past matchups out the window. I get it, but between these two guys. But, again, it's just important to think about. And again, this is a more important game for Lamar Jackson than it is for Patrick Mahomes. Because, listen, Patrick Mahomes, he's got his 2 Super Bowls. He's got his MVPs. If he retired now, he'd be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He could continue to build up his legacy and, get into that conversation of being, the greatest quarterback of all time. I mean, he's kind of already in that discussion, with what he's been able to do. This is a big game for Lamar Jackson, and will he rise to the occasion and, beat the Chiefs? And again, they've done it. He was able to do that. But now it's a bigger stage. This is a ticket to the Super Bowl on the line. Is he going to be able to do it? I don't know. We'll just have to find out on Sunday. But for me, I'm really excited for this game. Again, it's been a while since they last played each other. But when they have played against each other, it has been entertaining. So I expect that, with this game on Sunday. And you know what? Listen, the Ravens' defense, again, has been good all year. Now, against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, the defending champs, it's going to be different. Listen, you had a rookie quarterback you went up against last week. Now you got, this team coming in. And we'll see, this is a true test now. So, we'll see what happens. Again, looking forward to the game. I hope it's a great game. I expect it to be a great game. But, like I said, this is a bigger game for Lamar Jackson. And you win this game, that goes a long way. Because, again, only 2 guys have been able to do it. To knock off Mahomes in the playoffs. If you join that, you're joining an elite class. With Brady and Burrow. The 2 Bs. So, we'll see what happens. But that's basically it when talking about this. Let me know what you guys think about this game. What was your favorite moment from the one of the past Mahomes Jackson matchups? Because again, they had some good games. The middle games, like the first matchup and the most recent matchup, those I think were the better. They were the top 2. The other 2, the Chiefs kind of dominated, those 2 games, and then the Ravens made it a little bit interesting, but it wasn't enough to come back. The first matchup and the most recent matchup, those are the top 2. But we'll see what Part 5 brings us on Sunday. So when we come back from our final break of the show, we're going to talk about now the other game, of course, between the NFC Championship matchup, between the Lions and the 49ers. And what chance do the Lions have versus the 49ers? So I'll give you my thoughts on that when we come back from our final break of the show. So for one final time today, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.